The Chosen One's Journey by DragonWolf12. The next morning, Ash woke up bright and early, just like always, and did his morning meditation with his Pokemon for an hour. Afterwards, he returned Riolu and Dratini and made his way to the lobby. "Good morning, Nurse Joy," he greeted, as he took Gyarados' Pokeball and placed it on his belt. "Is there a training field I can use around here?" Smiling, she replied, "Yes, there's one out in the back of the center." "Thank you." He bade goodbye and went out to the field. Once he had released Riolu and Dratini again, Ash said, "I want to tell you that we have a new team member." Riolu and Dratini cheered at the new friend. "Now, she may look scary, but we've already bonded, and I'll make sure she doesn't hurt you." They looked a little uncertain at Ash's words, but got ready to meet their new teammate. "Okay, Gyarados, to the battlefront!" Ash said, as he released the atrocious Pokemon. Gyarados appeared with a loud roar, and she started glaring at the now scared little Pokemon. "Now, Gyarados," Ash said out loud, "these are your teammates. You will treat them with the respect you would have them treat you." She stopped growling and opened her mind to them, communicating across the link. After a few moments, Riolu and Dratini did not look scared anymore, and went right up to Gyarados. "All right, you guys, it's time for some more training," Ash announced. After a good morning run, Ash had them continue working on their moves. Pikachu started working on Iron Tail, using a stone to strengthen his tail muscles. Riolu perfected his Force Palm, and Dratini continued working on Twister. Gyarados was working directly with Ash. He was assessing her physical condition and examining her moves, while coming up with training strategies. After 2 hours, Misty finally came out of the Pokemon Center. "Morning, Ash," she greeted. "Morning, Misty," he replied. "Are you ready to go?" "Yes, but I need to stop by the Pokemart on our way out of town," she said. "All right," he said, then turned to the training Pokemon. "Okay, guys, that's enough for now." The Pokemon stopped training and immediately came towards him. "You guys did really great today. Pikachu, you're making excellent progress with Iron Tail. You should have it perfected by tomorrow if you keep up this pace. Riolu, your Force Palm is perfect. Next we're going to work on teaching you agility. Pikachu can help you with that. Dratini, good job on your progress with Twister. You just need to work on power a little bit more. Gyarados, you are very powerful, but I'm sure that I'll have something for you to work on soon." The Pokemon nodded, and he returned Riolu and Dratini to their Pokeballs. "Wow, you have some rare Pokemon," Misty commented, as Pikachu leapt back onto Ash's shoulder. "Yeah, I actually got Riolu and Dratini as eggs about a month ago, and they hatched 2 days ago." "Really? Who gave you the eggs?" she asked. "I have no idea. They came in a box that the mailman delivered," he said. "There was no return address, and the note that came with the box was simply signed, 'A Friend.'" "That's strange," she commented. "I know, but I'm not complaining. Anyway, let's get going. You said you wanted to stop at the Pokemart?" he asked. An hour later, they walked out of the Viridian City Pokemart laden with new Pokeballs, potions, and other essential supplies. They made their way into Viridian Forest. While they walked, Ash noticed Misty starting to get fidgety, and she would flinch slightly at every sound the forest made. Putting it aside, he kept walking. However, with each passing hour, her twitching would get continually worse. Finally, around lunchtime, he broke down and asked, "Hey, Misty, are you feeling okay? You seem to be a little jumpy." She shot him a look that resembled a deer caught in the headlights. Yeah, I'm fine," she mumbled out. Looking at his watch, Ash sighed and said, "Let's stop for some lunch. I think I can see a clearing up ahead." Okay," Misty said, with a slight stutter in her voice. As Ash was getting out a couple of sandwiches and Pokemon food, he felt Pikachu tense on his shoulder. Not a moment later, Misty screamed from where she was sitting. Spinning around, Ash saw that she was being attacked by a wild Pidgeotto. Without sparing a second thought, Ash commanded, "Pikachu, use Thunder Shock!" Pikachu leapt into action, delivering a powerful Thunder Shock on the attacking bird Pokemon. Pidgeotto screamed in pain as the electricity coursed through its system. As the attack cut off, it turned and gave Ash and Pikachu a very heated glare, and prepared itself for a tough battle. Ash smiled, his instincts and aura telling him that this was the type of Pokemon he wanted. "Now, Pikachu, quick attack, followed by Thunder Wave to paralyze it!" Pikachu shot across the clearing at high speeds, followed by a trail of energy, and slammed into the Pidgeotto while simultaneously unleashing a low electric pulse to paralyze the target. The bird Pokemon was sent flying across the clearing before crashing into a tree. A second later, a Pokeball hit the Pokemon's side, and it was absorbed into the ball. The red and white sphere rocked back and forth once, twice, 3 times before it dinged a successful capture. "Yes!" Ash said in triumph as Pikachu picked up the ball to give it to its trainer. "Are you okay, Misty?" Ash asked once Pikachu had given him the ball. "Yeah, I'm fine. I guess that's 2 I owe you now," she joked. Pulling a potion out of his bag, Ash released his new Pidgeotto so that he could heal it. Once he was finished, Ash pulled out his Pokédex and scanned his new Pokémon. Pidgeotto, the bird Pokemon, and the evolved form of Pidgey. It is armed with sharp claws and dives from the sky to capture its prey. This Pidgeotto is female and has the ability Keen Eye. She knows the moves Gust, Quick Attack, Twister, and Wing Attack. Ash whistled, then bent down on his knees. "Hi, Pidgeotto. My name's Ash, and I'm training to be a Pokemon Master. If I'm going to succeed, then I'm going to need the best of the best by my side. Do you think you're up for it?" The bird Pokemon stared at him for a minute before her beak stretched into its best snark, and she nodded. "Great to have you on board," Ash said with a smile. Placing a hand on her back, Ash created an aura bond. She looked surprised, but accepted the bond. Once they had all finished lunch, they continued walking through the forest. It was very calm and peaceful, except for Misty's twitching. As they walked, Ash continued working on his aura senses and aura sight. His abilities were progressing well. When he concentrated, he could smell a certain flower 100 yards away, see a single blade of grass in perfect detail, or hear Pidgey twittering high up in the sky. That night, they set up camp near a lake that Misty had spotted off the path. The next morning found Ash, Riolu, Pikachu, Dratini, Gyarados, and Pidgeotto all meditating together. Pidgeotto had taken to roosting against Ash's side, while Gyarados curled up around all of them, and Ash was resting against her side. Suddenly, a sharp scream rent the air. Ash and the Pokemon immediately sprang into action. "What happened?" Ash demanded, seeing no attackers or forest fire. He zeroed in on Misty, who was sitting up in her sleeping bag, shaking like a leaf. There was a Caterpie sitting on her chest, and it was rubbing its head against her. "It's a bug!" Misty stuttered in clear panic. Ash sighed in exasperation as he walked up. "I take it you're afraid of bug-type Pokemon?" She nodded very quickly, her eyes never leaving the Caterpie. Shaking his head, Ash scooped up the worm Pokemon and took it over to a nearby tree. Carefully placing it on one of the branches, he watched as it crawled out of sight. Once he had finished, Ash started leading his Pokemon through their usual exercises before moving on to move tutoring, while Misty watched them in interest, having never seen Ash train before. Riolu, after a quick discussion with Pikachu, was practicing agility. Pikachu and Dratini were working on perfecting Iron Tail and Twister respectively, and Ash started Pidgeotto learning Steel Wing. Since Gyarados already knew Twister, she was working with Dratini. Once Dratini perfected Twister, he and Gyarados were going to be learning Dragon Rage together. While the Pokemon were working, Ash pulled out a very large and old book from his backpack. "How did that fit in there?" Misty asked in surprise. "That's a story for another time. First, we're going to find out what Pokemon type you are," Ash explained. He opened it up to a blank page. "This is a special book that will react to your aura. When you place your hand on this page, it will tell you what type you are." He put his fingers on the page, and 18 different words wrote themselves across the page, naming all of the different Pokemon types. "Now it's your turn," he said to Misty. Tentatively, Misty put her hand on the blank page of the book. 4 words wrote themselves on the page. Water, normal, fighting, fire. Only 4 types. That limits what you can learn, but it doesn't make it impossible, Ash said, more to himself than Misty. What? Misty said in shock. Fire? I'm a fire type! Water and normal were pretty much a given, Ash explained. Almost everyone is normal type. The fighting type means that you'll never back down no matter what the odds. Fire types tend to have a very fiery personality. So, I have to get a fire Pokemon? Misty said, still in shock. Not at all, Ash said. This just means that you can use those kinds of Pokemon attacks, and you will bond best with normal, water, fighting, and fire-type Pokemon. It also means that you can only perform Aura Bonds with Pokemon that have one of those types. What's an Aura Bond? She asked. After Ash explained it to her, she went starry-eyed. You mean I can understand Pokemon that I've bonded with? Exactly, but first you need to learn how to create the bond, he explained. She looked crestfallen. How long will that take? Ash shrugged. It's different for everybody. Ash spent the next hour explaining about different aspects of Aura until they called it quits for lunch. Once all the humans and Pokemon had eaten, Ash returned everyone but Pikachu, and they set on their way.